Have I really not done a 2000s year since 2004? That's weird. The 2000s are arguably amongst the best decades for animation. Okay, let's do a bad year. Hey, the year I was born. Yep, 2002, I was born a humble soul amongst the pigs and sheep, and my poor mama, she couldn't bear to have me in such a grimy hospital. I'm joking, I was born pretty much the same as everybody else, except with autism, thank you. I don't think I actually have autism. Wait, what am I talking about? Oh shit, 2002. The animation's lamest year, yeah, that's very fair. Despite having some bangers, this wasn't as heavy-hitting as some of the other years of the decade. While it has, no joke, my all-time favorite animated film, it just wasn't that interesting of a year. Although it is interesting to note that this is the first year in animation I've done that doesn't have a Pixar release. Also, because y'all made sure I knew, this is the first year in animation to feature a selection of animated series that premiered in the year. Now, the show had to have premiered during that year, not had a season. Anyway, subscribe if you haven't already, let's get to it. Okay, so we got one of two Disney releases, the one that flopped. In all of Disney's animation catalog, nothing has quite reached the level of absolute box office disaster like Treasure Planet. I'd argue the holy trinity of Disney flops would be Treasure Planet, Snow White 2025, and John Carter. Thankfully, the only bad movie of that group is Take a Wild Fucking Guess. Treasure Planet is a great film that Disney completely sabotaged. The film follows a super cute Jim Hawkins who rides a fucking sailboat jet skateboards because Tony Romo. He's also voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who I'm starting to realize really makes or breaks a movie for me. He's fine here, but there's some films with him I'm not too fond of. If you know the story of Treasure Island, too bad there's probably a few of you who don't. So I'm gonna tell him! I'm gonna tell him! He goes on a quest to find this treasure planet because he has this orb that also is a map. We get a top 5 John Silver with this film, a cat lady captain who, yes, I goon to, and overall some damn good animation. However, I think it's silly to claim this is a perfect movie. It's a great movie, but not a perfect one. First of all, Jim Hawkins is a hit or miss for me. At times, he's really well written with some great emotions from Levitt, but other times you can tell Disney was just trying to do what works with the hip kids, something that really hurt them in this era. I'm also not a fan of Martin Short Robot in this. He's seriously the one character who could have been written out. I also argue most of the middle is kind of weak. Not bad, just nothing that stands out.
For an hour and the deck's still in one piece.
But let's get back on the good stuff. There's an original song by Trent Reznor that, yeah, kind of has the Phil Collins effect where it's more of the singer describing emotions, but it's a damn good song. They can't tell me who to be. And as I said, Brian Murray is an amazing John Silver. Something so many of these adaptations just fucking butcher with the character is his tough love for Hawkins. He knows he has to betray him, but he does care about him, and this film showcases that, and it does it so fucking well. Also, I don't care, I like Doppler. David Hyde Pierce is an actor who's pretty easy to make funny, and he's pretty great in this. This is my favorite scene in the entire film.
Are you the boy's father?
Oh,
what? No.
Good heavens, no.
Not you. He's just...
This bitch!
Is that a perfect film? No, it's got plenty of outdated 2000s shit, and at times it drags, but I'm sorry, I have such a soft spot for this film. It's easily one of Disney's biggest muck-ups for a completely different reason. Okay, the first ever animated series to be talked about on this series, Kim Possible, which aired from 2002 to 2007 on Disney Channel. Now, it seems throughout the 2000s, all the networks and studios trying to be hip with the kids thought kids really liked spy stuff, arguably being blown up with Spy Kids in 2001. And to be fair, the way specifically kids' spy films and shows did it, shit, Gex was doing it wrong. There, another Scott Wozniak comparison, you fucks. Now, Disney was many things in 2002, broke, but they weren't ones to shy away from playing to the Tony Hawk loving MTV watching cool kids and such. They chipped in on the Spy Kids formula with Kim Possible. But thankfully, it's not as dated as it sounds, which is weird because Disney did another spy show on Disney Channel with Zendaya, and that sentence alone is dated. However, this one is way better in quality, but that's like comparing chocolate to straight booty. Kim Possible follows a teenager named Kim Possible.
Yo, kid, what the fuck is that?
Living a double life as a high schooler and kick-ass spy. She's joined by her friend and love interest, Ron Stoppable. God, fuck their parents. And every episode follows her facing off against some kind of foe, most notably Dr. Draken, voiced by my all-time favorite voice actor, John DiMaggio, the voice of Jake the dog, Bender, and like every character I like. And Shigo, oh mama. I don't find her attractive, actually. I was more of Kim Possible's mom. What? Are you guys seeing this? The show is very clever in that it does something very similar to that of Powerpuff Girls, where one of the highlights is the variety of villains. Dr. Draken, Shigo, Monkey Fist, Professor Dementor. But unlike Powerpuff Girls, where the villains kind of overshadow the heroes, that doesn't happen here, as Kim easily keeps up with what, weirdly, a lot of early 2000s cartoons did, witty banter between hero and villain. And Kim isn't one, no, she has relatable teen drama. It just so happens she's a fucking spy. The rest of the show overall is pretty good. Disney Channel has always had some great quality cartoons. I'ma set you on fire. I enjoy this one alongside Kim's mom. Oh dear lord, I can be Xander Possible. What? I think this is the only DreamWorks movie I actually have no real issues with. What I mean by that is, well, even some of the best DreamWorks films I end up having some kind of big flaw with. Like, oh man, it sucks it's there. With How to Train Your Dragon, the lie revealed, that shit's almost never good. The first Shrek, the third act breakup. This is the only one that doesn't have anything like that, but that doesn't make it perfect. This is a fine middle-of-the-road DreamWorks film for me. Not amazing, but hard to call bad. It follows Matt Damon horse as he remains determined to get back to his herd after being captured. I will say, Matt Damon's actually not bad as Spirit. It would have been easy for him to sound too whatever the hell he was doing in Ocean's 11, but he's actually not that bad. He's got some solid voice chops here. He's not my favorite DreamWorks performance, but very few things can be Steve Carell in Over the Hedge. I don't know, I'm a bit disappointed because of all DreamWorks lineup, it's easily the one that I don't have much to say on. Not because it's bad, it's just because it's okay. I hear more and more people say it's a favorite, so if that's the case for you, good on you. I just don't get into it that much. Oh yeah, I guess Blue Sky did debut this year. Is your birth year with the guys who chose to make Rio 2? Okay, whatever. Ice Age, I guess if I had to say which of these Blue Sky films are the most harmless, I'd argue this or Ferdinand. The first Ice Age is kind of a cool time capsule. When you consider the next film was 3 years later and looked leagues above whatever this is, I guess it's kind of clear this is neat, but kind of dated. The animation has a certain charm to it. It's kind of like the Jimmy Neutron movie. And the series while I'm at it. It's ugly, but only in a way Ice Age could be ugly. Someone pointed out that the three main characters are all very charming in different ways. Manny is the character who has a lot of development, the character who changes because of the other two. Diego was initially the villain, and fun fact, he was supposed to die. Yeah, like really die. Oh, but he does die. You and I have both seen the end of the film, you know he doesn't. No, in a scrapped version of the film, Diego does die as a sacrifice for Manny and Sid. Okay, I got sidetracked. That's just one of the single coolest Blue Sky trivia things out there. But Diego redeems himself, and for me, he's become my favorite in the franchise. And then there's Sid. How do I explain this? Sid was the reminder for people this was in fact a kid's movie. He's the goofy, kiddie, comic relief character, but I give credit, he wasn't annoying at first. In fact, he only really gets bad to the fourth movie and onwards. I also want to talk about Manny. Ray Romano as a voice, you really have to try to make convincing that he's not just funny. Maybe that's because a certain opposite of Everybody Hates Chris made it really hard to see Ray Romano in a way that's not just for comedy. Actually, I do argue this guy has range. There's a super underrated comedy from 2017 called The Big Sick. This movie is incredible, one of my favorite comedies, and one of my favorite parts was Romano. And Kumail Nanjiani in the only role I don't find him annoying in, but that's for another day.
We can't do what that. What the fuck?
The final thing I want to bring up is the cave drawing scene. I'm convinced throughout the entire Blue Sky catalog, 2 scenes prove they could do amazing writing. The party scene in Rio, which I'll discuss at a later date, and this scene. No joke, I couldn't believe this scene was in Ice Age. It's incredible and not a single word is said. It's not a perfect movie, but looking back, it could have been worse. I was okay with it.
There's the baby. Where's the baby? Where's the baby?
I have a Nickelodeon movie ranking, watch that for more. Okay, so while the Jimmy Neutron movie premiered in 2001, 1 year later, the show would be born. I fucking love this show, dude. I think I like the show more than I do the movie, and I already liked the movie. The show is incredibly well written for being an early 2000s Nicktoon. Of course, it's just an extension of the movie. Jimmy Neutron invents something to be lazy and usually ends up screwing things up and having to fix them. I feel like saying this show looks bad is kind of an understatement, but also understand this was 2002. The only other impressive show to do CG at the time was arguably Reboot. And does anyone remember that, really bad show with Patrick Warburton, where he and all these others live in a video game world, and, it's pretty bad, but there's, this fucking scene, dude. I love this scene.
Hey, how'd you find me? Google.
Anyways, this show looks fine for the time. The real highlight is the humor. I swear, every episode got some bullshit going on. There's an episode where Nick says, "Can I get a drum roll, please?" And I shit you not, a drum rolls across the stage. It's aged a bit, but it's still great.
He's almost as pretty as your mother.
I hated the show as a kid. Max and Ruby follows a brother and sister named Joe and Crew. What the fuck? No, their names are Max and Ruby, obviously. Ruby's usually doing some useless shit while Max stood on business. Max notably never talked, and a lot of people drew the theory that he was autistic. I drew that he was mewing. God damn it, did I really say that? I don't know, it's fine. Looking back, Nick Jr. definitely had better shows, but it's alright. Okay, so only one Cartoon Network show from 2002, Codename Kids Next Door, was never my favorite show, but over time I've definitely grown to like it. As I just said with Kim Possible, kids spy media was all the rage in the early 2000s, so it made sense that Cartoon Network greenlit their own take, this even being one of the first big wins of the Big Pick, a programming block that showcased potential cartoon pilots. While I would have preferred Kitty Bobo's show, hey, shout out Blame It On George for letting me know that exists, this is still fine. It's a spy show with a group of 5 kids going on epic missions that usually have double meanings to adults. Honestly, I enjoyed this more as an adult than I did as a kid, unironically. All 5 main characters have such distinct personalities, and this is easily one of Maurice LaMarche's best roles.
You wanna watch a cartoon on the television?
It's just a solid, fun show. It's not witty or funny like Kim Possible, but I enjoy it fine. VeggieTales, Yeah, so in 2002, VeggieTales geared up for their first feature-length film. And of course, in true VeggieTales fashion, it's based on a Bible story, very fitting. This is of course Jonah, the story of the guy who was told by God to go to Nineveh, get eaten by the whale. Did you read your Bible today?
I don't wanna.
So a big complaint with most religious programming is that it's as subtle as dirt with its messages. VeggieTales never did that, and thankfully, that translates to this film, even though it's straight up based on a story from the Bible. Each character fits their roles perfectly, except for the pirates who don't do anything. Seriously, what purpose do they even serve? I do like the music too. VeggieTales always had some bangers, some I am ashamed to have on my Spotify playlist. And the Newsy song from this soundtrack is killer. I mean, the animation is dated, but it's fucking VeggieTales, no duh. For all I was expecting from this, I think Jonah's a fine VeggieTales movie. Unlike the garbage that came out 6 years later, I do not like that one. Alright, got a few PBS shows. God, that didn't age well, Jesus. PBS always knew how to make learning, well, fun. A big issue with educational television is that, by design, it's not as fun to learn as to watch something dumb like SpongeBob. But PBS often made programming that made it fun to learn while also still teaching. For Cyber Chase, it was all about math, and I gotta be honest, I hated math as a kid. And thankfully, Cyber Chase makes it fun by adding these fun characters going through Cyber Chase, we'll meet you face to face. Also, rest in peace, Gilbert Gottfried. What the fuck? Wait, this show is still running. Who are these hoes? What did they do to the Gilbert Gottfried bird? Who is that? Okay, that's another day. This is still pretty good.
Draco Malfoy!
Okay, Liberty's Kids, the one that I didn't really watch a lot when I was younger. My school didn't care for American history. Ironic? Maybe. However, Liberty's Kids is straight one of those shows I always knew about, but never knew what it was or what it did. Well, obviously, it teaches American history cleverly through the eyes of younger onlookers. It seems to have taken place during the Revolutionary War. Okay, it's been done before, but this is a unique take. The main 3 characters are easy to relate with, and I'm sorry, did that theme song say? This was shown in classrooms, right? Okay, well, Liberty's Kids certainly did really good with teaching kids the Revolutionary War and some history alongside it. I can see why it maybe didn't get shown as much as Cyber Chase or Bill Nye, but I still think this one's solid. Alright, Ghibli time. I've been getting more into Ghibli's lineup, and thankfully the Cat Returns continues the goodwill this company has brought into the series. Like Princess Mononoke, it's not my all-time favorite from the studio's lineup, but it's charming, has likable characters, and can technically count as a furry movie. Ha! Seriously, is there even a bad Ghibli movie? I'm not to 2021 yet! Okay, so in 2002, Scooby-Doo entered its 20th adaptation, What's New Scooby-Doo. This one isn't quite up there with Mystery Incorporated, but it's close. I think this one has the much-needed modern humor the original didn't have. Like any Scooby-Doo show, it's incredibly simple and formulaic, but looking back, I really respect this one, alongside the Simple Plan theme song.
What's new, Scooby?
Man, it's almost been 5 years since my Adam Sandler ranking. And in that ranking, I was pretty harsh to Adam Sandler's big animated film before Hotel Transylvania, 8 Crazy Nights. In hindsight, I definitely was playing up that I just wasn't big on the film's humor and how good the animation looked. I don't think it's necessarily good, but at times it's got some good heart, even if Sandler's character is insufferable, and God, Whitey's voice can really just get on my nerves. I do think I was unnecessarily mean to it, though. As I mentioned, the animation is way too good for this film, and some of the songs, I forgot this was a musical. I kinda like that they try to redeem Davy towards the end. Also, yeah, his name's Davy. It's just Adam Sandler. And while the writing can definitely be too mean, I'd say there's still 40% of that's still heartfelt. Or at least it tries to be. I don't think it's good, but for being legit an Adam Sandler animated film from 2002 at the height of everyone fucking hating this guy, it could have been worse.
How many hot dogs did you eat?
I think it was 35.
What, you think I, family-friendly, wholesome Xander of Media Bros, would bring an obscure French cartoon to the show from the early 2000s simply because the main characters happen to have fur? You really think I, family-friendly, wholesome, non-furry supporting Xander of Media Bros, would bring this cartoon up just to keep my unfunniest joke going, despite the fact that there's not even an English dub and that's a whole lost media topic I'm not digging into? You think I would bring up an obscure French cartoon with furries? You're right, this character's hot, no other notes. Okay, so you're probably wondering why I'm just now talking about Lilo and Stitch. It's the end of the video. I already talked about Disney's output this year. Why did I wait to talk about, well, let's face it, the reason I did 2002 for the month. And welcome back to Xander Ruins the Fucking Vibe, the show where, you know. Okay, so I know for the most part, I try to keep things light on this channel. I don't try to force emotion or anything like that. Well, I gotta be honest, there's a reason I want to talk about Lilo and Stitch. Long story short, it's my all-time favorite animated film. Lilo and Stitch is just so good. It's straight up my all-time favorite because of one thing, and it has something to do with recent events. But of course, let's talk about the good stuff and some of the bad stuff. It's no secret Stitch is great, he's absolutely iconic, and being voiced by the film's director certainly helps his case, as the voice is totally iconic.
Hey, Jamburka Gabbly.
But honestly, Lilo is also very charming. Being voiced by, early 2000s little girl Davy Chase, Stitch is great, but Lilo is why he works. Lilo isn't just a brat who has no friends, she's generally kinda likable. She's also weird because kids are weird. Why do writers just think kids are innocent little angels? I'm getting ahead of myself. There's not a villain in this movie, but thankfully it's incredibly welcomed, as the last few Disney films didn't have the greatest villains. But it also didn't need a villain. These are just tough characters given tough scenarios. Even the ones we're supposed to assume as villains, like Jumbo and Bleakley, Cobra Bubbles, even Gantu, they're all just doing their jobs respectively. While the Elvis music is also pretty great in this, the Hawaiian music is clearly the best part of the film. The Aloha Oi scene is so special. It doesn't rely on Stitch's antics or anything else. All it's got to do is have these two characters, Lilo and Nani, in this quiet, emotional scene. If I had any issues, A, David is incredibly boring, you could argue he's completely useless to the plot, and B, the third act can be a bit rushed at times, though they did have to change it because of 9/11, so I guess that makes sense. But okay, let's ruin the vibe. Why do I want to talk about this movie? Well, as I mentioned countless times, in February of 2024, I lost my grandfather, and a big thing with him was family. I don't think I have to explain why family is a big theme in this movie. But also, in the last year or so, my family, at least outside of my immediate mother and father, have had a few scuffles. I won't go into detail, that's not important. In a way, it makes me feel trapped. I know not all of my family watches my videos, but something I always look to when these scuffles occur is that Aloha Oi scene. I said that scene was as perfect as it got, and I realize nowadays with my family kind of drifting apart, I realize having my parents and sister and other immediate family close to me is what will get us through these trying times. I remember something my grandfather used to say: life is about choices and consequences. I've had to be there for my parents while also living my own life, and such, I always look at the Aloha Oi scene in a new light. I used to see it as just two sisters having to say goodbye, but now I can see it as me and my family sticking together no matter what. Because of my grandfather, I found a new love for what is ultimately my all-time favorite animated film. It's weird that it's been over a year since it happened, but man, I know for a fact I can't slow down now. I just can't quit, not now. The growth this channel has seen since last February assures me I just can't quit. The fact I'm even 500 subs from January is so insane for me. And for everything else, while I may be gone, my grandfather is looking out for me up there.
Until